Okay, today's video we're talking about what you don't know about CallRail and other call tracking services and really should. These are all, common misnomers that people overlook, that don't have the experience or pleasure of working on dozens of PPC campaigns or dozens of businesses to know what works with call tracking and the way that you set it up specifically and what will hurt your sales. Call tracking obviously is meant to get you sales, but won't get you sales if you set it up incorrectly. And so there's just a few things that you should know about that to get the most out of your call tracking. Some basic pitfalls. I also have just a couple tips for you to be able to increase how much you're getting from that in terms of sales from your call tracking as well. With that said, I'll get right into the content. Not everybody tracks their calls coming into their businesses with the call tracking software. The common ones out there are CallRail, calltrackingmetrics, mongoose metrics, which CallRail is the big one that I use. It's the most intuitive to use, has the least amount of problems. I mean, sorry I'm going to throw you under the bus like this, but mongoose metrics, good luck trying to get that set up right with no experience using it. You'll struggle and struggle and struggle and you still won't get it set up right. And I think that's because they've been bought and sold. It used to be if by phone and then another company and then another company. And it's been screwed up totally by now. I would not recommend anybody using that one. Call tracking metrics can be okay, but still, it's not as easy for... At the end of the day, the reason why CallRail is the number one is because they made it easy for people to use. Anybody can figure it out, and they have excellent customer service. You can call in and speak to somebody about any problem you have in real time with a US-based person. Yes, it's more expensive, but I'm telling you, when you go set it up and you have problems, you'll figure out why it's cheaper. It's only $40 a month for a basic plan anyway, so it's worth every penny. Anyway, but you should always, but you should have call tracking, as it always pays for itself if you run any kind of paid ads. Call tracking, even if you don't run paid ads, by the way, is worth it, just so that you can identify. You could spot problems before you have problems. Your organic traffic, okay. Your rankings might be the same. Your traffic from organic that you see in Google Analytics may be the same, but you're getting crappier quality traffic and it's not generating as many calls. So with that, you might rank for a different set of keywords than you did before, and it was a slow, gradual progression into a general direction and got off the rails of where it was. And you could spot these things with call tracking, because call tracking obviously tells you if somebody called from each individual source, organic, referral, whatever, but it also allows you to record the call. So you could see the quality of the call that you're getting on top of it. Not just number of calls, but quality of calls, and by each source. And so it's not so much apparent to you why you need to use it when times are good. When times are bad, that's when it really comes in handy. As far as paid ads, it's useful all the time. Why? Because Google ads and Facebook ads and Bing ads use the data that you have about what's working and what's not working to guide your ads. Even if you're an e-commerce business, if you're selling something over $100 in price and you, just that flat out by itself, tracking calls that occur before somebody makes a purchase through your site will give Google and these other platforms extra data to optimize your ads with. It'll build up data faster to point you in the general direction of profit and more profit. If you take orders offline, and more than 10% of your sales and orders that you get is done over the phone through a virtual terminal system, virtual terminal credit card system, you take the card over the phone, you can use CallRail to plug in the offline sales back into your account, because it captures the code for the user, and then when you have a sale and you want to post that data back to Google, for instance, or Bing or Facebook, they all have it through what is called offline conversion tracking. you can do so, and then you can see that offline order where it happened at the keyword level, time of the day of the week, specifically through Google. It's different for the other networks, but what device they were on, how old they were, what gender they were, were they a parent, what income class they were from. So you can guide, personally as a user can dial in your ads to get more sales at the same cost per sale, or more sales just in general, or more revenue in general, as well as the ad networks use that data to identify when you get somebody who calls or purchases, what was that person like? Did they go to these 3 websites before they called and actually searched and clicked on your ad? Did they, basically, were they doing this other research before they made the search for the keyword that you're advertising on? And they pick up, they profile their users years before they ever search and find your ad, and they can use that profile data in connection with your call tracking to get you better and better quality traffic for the same price all the time. So you're missing out on half the value of what you're paying for with PPC if you don't have all your data for the algorithms that run these ad networks use. People think it's a switch on or off, either showing and bid on a keyword or I'm not, and it's totally opposite from that. There's thousands of different people who search for just one keyword, and Google and Bing profile the user for the ones that end up calling or buying to get you more of those. And when it doesn't work good, they let somebody else's ad show that for those particular profiles of people. Just so that you understand a background of CallRail or call tracking in general, why you use it. All this stuff ends up making you more money. All the stuff I mentioned. If you set up, though, the call tracking the incorrect way, or the wrong way, however, the above may not be the case anymore. So a lot of people don't do call tracking, like I said, in other words. Maybe 30% of people do call tracking that need to be using call tracking that have phone calls coming in. Of that 30%, 15% are using Google's call tracking, which Google's call tracking doesn't have a recording feature, so you can't audit your leads. You can't do offline conversion tracking with it, like I talked about, where you could take the customer that buys through the phone or whatever and import that data back into your account. And respectively, it's harder to troubleshoot and see that it's actually working. When you could physically see the calls come in and hear the recordings, and then you could, it's easy to verify your whole setup's working. I don't recommend using Google's free call tracking. It's worth 100% to use the $40 a month for CallRail. But so 15% of people are even using call tracking. So if you use it, you have a major edge on all your competition just using it, assuming you don't screw it up. But of the people that are using it, and then I got another half of those who are not doing it the correct, most ideal way. There's a lot of things I could mention about screwing up the call tracking setup that you have, but I just wanted to focus on some of these major things that I think you should know. And I've got other videos about call tracking on this channel if you want to see more about how to do your call tracking the correct way, how to do offline conversion tracking. I have videos on those topics on this channel. You can search for them using the search bar on my channel homepage. That said, here are the things to know about call tracking in general, starting with the general got-yas and then some basic information that will help you improve how much you're earning from that call tracking as well, on top of everything else. The first one is call spam protection. Now this is a new thing. This is the main reason that prompted me to make this video. Is one big thing, a big problem with the call tracking and why people haven't want to use it is there's actually two major reasons. If they are aware of it already and they understand the value, the potential value of it. One reason of which is it fails sometimes. For that, I will rebuttal with saying, if you use the good CallRail, it also doesn't fail as often, which is another reason why you want to just go with the tried and true provider of call tracking, which is CallRail. Respectively, we have had hundreds of clients in the last 10 years who's used CallRail, and rarely does somebody have a problem with CallRail actually dropping the call or not sending the call through. Out of, let's say, 100 clients, maybe 1 to 2 had a problem in general with it, and it was always short term. So that's not so much of a thing to worry about, assuming your stuff's set up right. And if it is screwed up, there's better chance that it's screwed up because it's not set up right than CallRail dropping the call and doing something on their end. So anything's possible, but just want to give you my perspective on it. The other reason why people don't use call tracking a lot, well, I guess there's 3 reasons I'll mention. The second reason, which I was just going to say, was people, they get spam calls, where what happens is there's bots who go to different websites, pick up the phone numbers, scan the internet for phone numbers, and then they start calling the phone numbers and try to sell you shit. And so once their number gets identified by one of these crawlers are a lot of times made by people who just sell the phone number list to other marketers, is what would be the more common thing. And once you get on their list, you're fucked. Okay? You basically, if you're using these call tracking providers, you can go back to them and say, hey, I'm getting a lot of spam calls. They'll look at your call pool. You get multiple numbers for your call tracking pool that'll potentially show up on your website if you're using dynamic phone number insertion, which you should be using, and which I won't get into here on this video. But then they'll look at the number which has the most spam calls going through it. Usually it's 1. They'll replace that number, and then it's fixed until you get hit again, which you may never get hit again, because out of 100 clients, maybe 5 to 10 had a problem with it before, and then we got rid of that number, and it usually just fixed it for good. So it's not as big of a problem as you think. You can get it fixed. But the other thing is, it has CallRail, I understand. I don't know about these other call tracking providers, but it's a big enough issue for CallRail in terms of the customer service that they have to deal with the call spam issue, that they set up a system to where now automatically all their customers, which I disagree with this, but it is at my company, where when you call a CallRail number from a client, from one of their clients' websites or a website that CallRail is on, before you connect, it'll say press 1 to continue in a little robotic voice or whatever. And that is to stop the spam callers, because they cannot press 1, as they say. And so yes, it stops all the spam, but it also hurts your conversions. It hurts your conversions. It'll give you a double-digit drop in your conversions. And this is something I've witnessed by talking to my clients, looking at the abandonment rates of the calls as per CallRail, and doing our own studies. So you absolutely do not want to use that. It adds, think about it from your perspective. If you call somebody that says press 1 to continue, that's not what you're expecting to hear. So, and it's just like form tracking spam, or form spam, sorry. Contact forms on your website. I get clients all the time who say, Corey, is there anything you could do to stop the spam coming through my form? And I say, it's coming from not PPC ads. Our ads are working fine, but you're getting crawlers that crawl your website, look for a form. When it sees a form, it tries to spam it, okay, right away. And then there's the best way to get rid of that, as I found, is to install a thing called reCAPTCHA. It's a Google product. That usually will take care of it. There's other things you can do, such as recoding the form and then not naming the form field standard names, so that the spam tool will get confused and it will be harder for them to identify what you got, to see there's a form there, or even see what to put in each form field, so on and so on and so on. I won't get into all the details there, but what people will do is they'll say, I hate this spam with my form coming into my email. IT person, put a spam blocker on it. And then they do. And then half their leads get blocked, or something ridiculously high. And then they don't know about it for 6 months. Why am I not getting any leads? Come back to me. Why am I not getting any leads? And then I have a consistent set of things I have to do to check before I even know the ads are not working, which is several things. One of which, did you put a spam blocker on your form recently? Okay. Or of course, if you're not getting calls, is there anything, did you change your call tracking? So you have to be very, very, very careful trying to get rid of spam. because it'll block how much money you're making. If possible, you deal with the spam until the point of no return, and then you try getting rid of it, because anything you do to get rid of it can potentially block a good lead. Like I said, you could add spam blocker to a form like reCAPTCHA, probably not block any leads. But anyway, as far as the call tracking goes, you could deactivate this press 1 to continue thing to get rid of the call spammers, and you don't have to use it. CallRail has that where you can turn it off. So by default, you have this. I'm saying go ahead and turn it off, because it's going to hurt your conversion rate, and how much money you're making from set amount of traffic is so much set amount of ad spend, or just set amount of traffic from other sources. The third reason, by the way, just to finish up what I was saying before, that people don't use call tracking, by the way, is, what was I going to say? It was on my mind. I wanted to cover this. The telephone, yes. The telephone number. They don't want their telephone number to change on their website. They don't want to have people see one phone number one day and then another phone number another day. Potentially, that can happen with a pool of numbers that they may not see the same number. My answer to my clients, by the way, for that is to say, only have it rotate for people who click on your ads, because we do the PPC only, and then your regular people that come back to your site, they will only see your normal number. And if that's what you want and need, then you can do that. And then the main benefit of using it for PPC, you'll still have that. Respectively, you can also have it only show up for organic PPC. So there's different options available to you there. In case you want your everyday people coming back to check on their orders or whatever to see your regular number, you could, through the configuration settings, do that. So that's also not really an issue. But anyway, moving forward from that, that's the first misnomer. The second thing that will hurt your conversion rates is the call recording. Specifically, yes, you should do call recording, because you have the benefit of the software almost is just being able to have a log of all the calls, when they came in, and the recordings, and where they came from. So you can audit the quality of the call, not just the number of calls. But you don't want to play the audible that announces to the user as they call and try to connect to your company that your call is being recorded. Because it'll hurt your conversion rates again. Some people don't want to be recorded, and it adds unnecessary friction to the process. I've got a video where we've actually studied how the number of rings that it takes to be able, on average, to answer the phone affects the conversion rate. Also, how long it takes to answer the person's call once, because normally you call and then they'll say you need, if you have a process like this, receptionist answers and then they have to transfer you to sales, the amount of time that you're on hold will also affect your sales. Versus just having a live salesperson answer, you will get absolutely more sales per dollar spent on ads, because there's less friction in the process. Anything that gets in the way from them giving you money will hurt your profits. That's just how it is. So you can do all this fancy crap, but at the end of the day, it's all going to cost you. In the case of a call recording, you don't need to tell them that you're recording them unless you're in a state that has what is called two-party consent law. There's certain law, I think it's California, there's some states where you're supposed to tell, in order to legally record somebody, you have to tell them. And that's why they have that feature. But they also, that feature's disactivatable. It's on by default, generally speaking, and you have to go in and shut it off. So people don't want to be recorded. It adds friction. It also just makes you seem like an unapproachable company, like a huge mega corporation when you do that crap. And it sets the wrong tone for the whole sales pitch that's coming. You want it, when somebody calls, to just go straight to the phone like nothing's there. They should not notice your call tracking is there. And if you take off the audible for call recording and leave the call recording itself, and you take off these call spam protection feature, they won't hear anything, they won't see anything, and which is the way you want it for maximum conversion rates on your campaigns after using call tracking. Anyway, those are the two big things I wanted to talk about that you should know about. There's a small side here. This is something I've learned and had known for a very long time. Anybody in the medical industry, technically, anybody who you know that you have HIPAA laws that apply to your business, which is patient confidentiality, the Patient Confidentiality Act, basically, that says you cannot disclose anything about what you and your patient has given you or told you. That actually goes into any data collection about that company. You cannot collect data from that patient without the patient's knowledge, as per a third party being involved. Third party being here could be call tracking or a call tracking company. So when you use call tracking with like a dentist office, that would, or a hospital, or whatever HIPAA would be applied to that, essentially all the metadata about where they called from, what keyword they used, all that stuff, also the call recording, that's all stored on CallRail servers as well. And so technically, when they're trying to call you and are going to give you data, but now they're giving their data to CallRail, that's technically a violation of HIPAA. Now I will tell you, 99% of the time, whether this HIPAA applies to them or not, these people don't give a shit. They're using call tracking anyway. Nobody's checking for this. Nobody knows what's going on. Just saying, the fines for that stuff can be pretty big. Call tracking, CallRail specifically has a HIPAA compliant version of CallRail to get you actually compliant with HIPAA, but it's going to not allow you to record calls, respectively, and it's expensive. It's like 10 grand a month. And they've set it up so like only hospitals can afford it or whatever. So practically speaking, most people are just using the regular CallRail and just pretending like they don't know better. Okay? I'm not going to tell you what to do, but technically there is some, and I found that out a long time ago through CallRail. Something to be aware of. Just wanted to let you guys know. Not very many people know about that. But moving on from that, since most of you guys aren't in the medical field there. Number 4, this is a bonus here that I'm throwing in. Using multiple numbers helps increase your conversion rates by about 15%. So what I mean by this is for local businesses. Usually local businesses where you're serving or you're going to them with like a home service, home services, or you're going to their business to deliver the service or whatever, you serve a larger metro area, not just one city. 30-mile radius around your office, whatever. If you have call tracking set up and you just have one 800 number showing for everybody, that's going to hurt your conversion rates a ton. Because they're going to want to most of the time deal with a local business. And if they see an 800 number there, or 888 or 877, they're going to be skeptical to call, because this might seem like it's a national company that's going to route me through a bunch of bullshit, and you absolutely don't want to do that. But going further, what more people don't know is if somebody is in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles, the main area code is 312, but let's say you also serve an area of LA called Simi Valley, which is in another area code, and you're offering your tree cutting services to LA Metro, including the Simi Valley, which is in another area code. You market and have your ads running to that Simi Valley customer or prospect. They get to your website and they see an LA phone number. They're less likely to call because they think it's going to be a waste of time, because this is an LA company, not a Simi Valley company. So what I always then do is I recommend actually setting things up so that you have a phone, what they call a pool of numbers for every area code that you plan on servicing within your local territory. Okay? So, respectively, everybody you're marketing to thinks that you're a local company, which whether you are or aren't a local company to them is irrelevant. They just want to know that they're not going to have wasted their time calling you. That's what it's all about. So, and it will actually affect your conversion rates by about 15%. just by adding that upgrade, adding and making sure, and then, you know, having separate campaigns just for the, you know, so-and-so area that covers so-and-so area code, which on your landing page has numbers linked to that area code, and then other campaigns for the other area code, which push people to a landing page that has just numbers with that area code on it. And so it's not that much more expensive to do that. Basically cost you another 10 bucks, 20 bucks a month to have another pool of numbers just for a second area code, and then, but you'll increase the conversion rate 15% on anybody who didn't see a local area code before, which pays for it right away. So this is a cool little life hack, if you will, or campaign hack as it comes to CallRail. What you could do with call tracking, I keep saying CallRail as if they're the only option. Call tracking in general, what you can do to really make use of it. And given that you can have all these numbers for different area codes, they still route back to one number. And it's just like to your company and your receptionist and your salespeople, nothing's changed. And to the end consumer, nothing's changed, except to the point where you look ultra relevant to them now. So, cool little hack. That's everything I wanted to share with you today about stuff you should know about call tracking and don't. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you would like the video and consider subscribing, because I have a lot of other videos on this channel I'm coming out with that have other hacks to make, and it's mainly centered around PPC strategy. If you want to learn how to make a ton of money with PPC, this is the place to do it. I also got a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns the way that I build them to guarantee our clients results at our firm. If you want to look for more stuff on a more step-by-step basis, you can find it there. If you have any questions or comments about this, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel. And that said, hope to see you on my next video where I have another good strategy for you to use pertaining to PPC or online marketing itself. See you then.